Welcome to the American Freethinker, Episode 2. Before I get started on the topic today, a reminder that these videos will only be 10 to 15 minutes long. They are an overview of my opinion, and they are a precursor to my live call-in talk show where I'll be able to go into more detail. Now the topic that I need to get off my chest today. America. More and more I'm confused how good, hardworking, normal Americans, like myself, except they're willing to vote for a party that basically talks about the evils of America. Everything is bad about America. Capitalism is bad. It's the evil in the world. Except the facts are that America helps more people around the world than any other country. Capitalism has raised people out of poverty all over the world. If capitalism in America is so bad, why, for instance, is our so-called poverty better than most countries' middle class? Why are people constantly trying to come to America? Not very many people trying to leave. Matter of fact, we can't get rid of the Hollywood actors that promise they're going to leave. They always come back. Why is that? But yet you are still willing to vote Democrat. Again, my premise is because you don't look at the topics. You don't discuss the topics. That's why you just continue to vote. Well, your party, like I said in the last video, the leadership has gone crazy. Now back to the topic. I'm going to give a little history to explain to you how America isn't the racist, sexist country that they want to portray it as. For instance, America didn't bring slavery to this country. Slavery had been around since the beginning of time. Still happens today. America didn't push the Indians across the country and into reservations. Us Americans aren't immigrants. Our forefathers settled here. Big difference. So next time someone comes to you and tries to argue, oh, well, you're against immigration or legal immigration, well, that's what we are. No, we were settlers. When the Founding Fathers put together the Constitution, majority of them put in there and made sure that eventually slavery would end. Everyone knows that they had to compromise or there never would be an America. Now after that compromise and things started bit by bit, the slavery party started kind of losing power, two people came together, Van Buren and Andrew Jackson. They formed the Democrat Party. Why did they do that? Check your history. Van Buren ran the North. He was bringing in the immigrants and found himself a voting bloc. But that wasn't very powerful. So then they decided to be the political arm of slavery. Again, check those facts. So now you have the Democrat Party. One, taking advantage of the immigrants. Two, the party of slavery. Now we push forward to the Civil War. There's a little bit of a fallacy going on, that a falsehood, that the war was 100% about the North and the South. South, those evil racists. Well, if you again check the facts, a majority of Southern whites did not own slaves. What the war was mostly about was the Democrats wanted slavery, and the Republicans that didn't want slavery to continue to grow. The Democrats saw the writing on the wall. They knew that bit by bit they were losing power on this issue, as more and more white people didn't like slavery and wanted it gone. Hence the war. After the war, Democrat Party lost their power. But guess what? It wasn't the Southern Democrats during the war that kept voting for it. They weren't in there. It was the Northern Democrats. So it wasn't just a Northern-Southern Democrat issue. They were the same party. After the war, they lost all their power in the South. Reconstruction moved in. Democrat Party wasn't about to allow that. They fought it the whole way. Now this is where I'm willing to admit where the Republican Party fell short. They didn't continue that process. Because during that process, slaves, ex-slaves, were starting to come around. They were starting to find their way. They were starting to gain power. Some of them even took public office down in the South, because the South was almost 100%, if not 100%, Republican. But you still had the Northern Democrats fighting it. Well, then came along the muscle of the Democrat Party, called the KKK. Check your history. They were the Democrat Party. They're the ones that stopped Reconstruction. They're the ones that forced what was a Republican stronghold back into the party of the Democrats in the South. That's where the Republican Party lost. They did not fight it. They did not continue fighting that fight down there federally. They were weak, kind of like today's Republican. Today's Republican leaderships, they're weak. They don't fight like Trump does. But anyways, I digress. But then today's Democrats, they do. They fight hard. They have their parties, the muscle. You know, the ones that go beating on doors. The ones that go to restaurants and hassle congressmen. You know, the ones that wear the black masks, run around with bats. They're a lot like the KKK was back then. They're muscle. Coincidence, huh? So then we move past Reconstruction. By about 1930, the Democrat politicians started realizing, we're losing a lot of the power from the white vote. Why? Because they're sick and tired of seeing what the Democrat Party is doing to the South. They don't like it. So what'd they do? 30s, come the 40s, Wilson, FDR, one of the biggest racists of the time. They found a way to get the black vote in the South. Remember, they were losing the white vote. They were still struggling, and they were still, because of, let's say Tammany Hall, look that up on the East Coast. They knew how to get the immigrant vote. Promise them things. Tell them if they don't vote for us, you won't work, you won't eat. Kind of sounds familiar today, doesn't it? Democrat Party. Illegal immigrants coming in. They want them in, so they'll vote for them too. Interesting how it's the same as it was back then. Well, they put into place things to help the impoverished black community. Still struggling, obviously. After Reconstruction, Democrat Party down there, constantly stopping them from getting ahead. Because it was around that time in the 30s when the minority families were strong. They were solid. They were working. Everything was going good. But there was enough and quite a few that weren't. Those were the ones that started voting Democrat, because the Democrats were promising them help. Well, we call it welfare today. Bit by bit, from the 30s to the 60s, more Democrats, or more of the black community, started voting Democrat for that reason. by 1960, LBJ realized we need to get all of their vote. So bit by bit, he started implementing things that would tear the family apart. Not just the black community, although they were harmed the most, white community, all communities. Bit by bit, the family rate started going down. Around the 30s, up until the 60s, two-family household in the black community was upwards of 80%. Now it's around 20%. But if the Democrat Party is so helpful for the black community, why did it get worse? Well, let's see. How do you keep votes? Well, there's one way. Promise them things. We'll take care of you. Vote for us. That's not enough. They also have to demonize the other party. And that's where the ingenious of their plan took. A little side note. I don't want to be rude, but how ignorant do you have to believe this? That sometime in the 60s, all of the racist Democrat Party leaders, and they all switched to wonderful angels, caring about the immigrant and the black communities. All of them, all of a sudden, just switched. All the Republican Party, all the ones who, the ones that have been putting in the Civil Rights Act, stopping slavery, stopping all the evil things the Democrat Party has been doing since the beginning, the time they started, all of a sudden they switched and all of them became racist. Just out of the blue. All in the 60s. And they want you to believe that. Well, people do. Heck, even history books do. I think even some Republicans said that that's what happened. Something about the Nixon Southern strategy, which is false as well if you actually look into it, because he didn't get the Deep South. Well, they did it. They made it work. Twofold. Give them what they want so they'll vote for us, and get them to hate the other side. Reminds me of a book, an author, Saul Alinsky, I think is his name. That's Hillary Clinton and Obama. But anyways, I digress again. So now this happened. Now they finally got the minority vote and the immigrant vote by promising them everything. But why is everything worse than it was back then? Not the Republican Party. Let me go back to that point again about you having to believe that all happened all at once, both parties. Well, take a look, because no politician, I think one politician jumped from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party, or the Republican Party to the Democrat Party. So if no politician changed sides, then how did all of a sudden one side become the racists and the other side become the angels? It was this kind of argument, this kind of point that you hardworking middle Americans that still vote Democrat because your daddy told you to, your union told you to, your professors told you to, you listen to the news, Hollywood, you're just going to listen to them and not think. Think about that. It's these kind of questions, this kind of subject matter that I want to talk about, and I think it's important to talk about, that you need to start thinking about. Because like I said, it's not just that your party, right now the leadership is dangerous and crazy, and the people that follow them are crazy, and they're trying to take away your First Amendments and the right to protect yourself, and even due process for that matter. Not only are some of them trying to bring you into socialism, but they're the party of evil from the get-go. But yet, for some reason, you want to vote for them. I just don't understand that. It is this kind of information, it's this kind of facts that it makes me want to get this stuff off my chest, and I think we need to start talking about. these elections coming up, as important as they are. So that's my topic for the day. America. The fact that it isn't America that pushed slavery, it's the Democrat Party. Remember, America is just an idea. It's not even a tangible thing. It's an idea. It's an idea of freedom. It's an idea of individual rights. That's America, not slavery, not anything to do with immigration, illegal immigrants. It's the Democrat Party that did the slavery and that takes advantage of the immigrants and that only wants them in for votes. So, to wrap this up, if you happen to be listening on YouTube, if I can figure out how to get it on YouTube, please remember to share. Please remember to ring the doorbell, subscribe. If it's Facebook, please share, like it. You can go to my website, and I appreciate you listening, and I hope you hear me on the next topic. Thank you.